Sifter for the ear.
News, interviews, reviews, cinema, TV, streaming. Action.
Hi, y'all. This is Jerry Williams, a.k.a. TV Jerry. The Branch Museum is currently showing a wonderful exhibit that spotlights Richmond-based retailer Best Products, the founders, Francis and Sidney Lewis, in their iconic showrooms. The Branch will present 2 films they commissioned to document the showrooms designed by Sight. Best Movies will be presented June 4th at 7:30 p.m., and the $20 ticket includes popcorn, sodas, and wine beer. Filmmaker Howard Silver will come down from New York to talk about capturing one of the most ambitious experiments in retail architecture. I'll have a link to the screening on the webpage for the show at TV Jerry.
As readers, we would get sometimes 2 scripts a night. We'd pick them up around 7 p.m., read the script, and produce what's called coverage,
which is basically a book report.
A synopsis of the material, and then a page where there's sort of a paragraph dedicated to the quality of the writing, the characterization, the dialogue, the setting, and then a summary, which is basically whether there's a commercial potential.
That was today's guests, Victoria Fraser and Marc Weinberg, a writing team that's worked on numerous film and TV projects, which we'll talk about in part 2 of this podcast. This week, we'll be looking at Outrage, a film that's coming out soon featuring Reed Birney as an arch-conservative talk show host who's being held captive in a basement. They also served as executive producers and will give us insight into the creation of the project and more.
Sifter Review of the Week.
Spider Noir on Prime Video. This version of Spider-Man has little relation to the Marvel world. It's set in the 30s, and the titular character is played by Nicolas Cage, who's living as a private detective trying to move past his hero status. While working on a new case, he encounters a mob boss, corrupt politicians, and more. But what makes this series attractive is the classic film noir style. The theatrical lighting and dramatic camera angles are gorgeous. Cage is doing his best Nicolas Cage, with the expected intensity and quirky delivery, while also echoing the period's acting style. The action is well staged, and the pacing doesn't drag too often. I enjoyed looking at this film as much as I did watching it. By the way, in a cool concept, the film is being streamed in the classic black and white or a colorized version. Of course, I went for the black and white. I gave Spider Noir 3.5 out of 5 stars. Marc Weinberg and Victoria Fraser, welcome to Sifter for the Ear.
Well, hi, Jerry. Did you know that when you were working at TVR, I was actually a film critic for Richmond Magazine and, what's the rock station in town?
XL 102?
Yeah, I was also doing film reviews for them.
Wow, I had no idea. You know, it's funny because that article that was in Richmond Magazine a couple months ago about y'all mentioned that you wrote for Richmond Magazine, and I contacted my friend Harry Kolotz, who of course is still there, and he had no idea who you were, and he said, I looked, I didn't see his name anywhere. So we're talking 70s and 80s, right?
70s, yeah.
Probably Flock of Seagulls was playing in the background during Marc's film reviews.
But before that, let me ask you, back up even further. What's your start in Richmond, Marc?
So I was born in Richmond, but raised in Farmville first 13 years.
Okay.
And then my family moved to Richmond, went to high school, middle school, and Douglas Freeman for 1 year. Then I ended up going to boarding school because I was a bad boy.
Oh, good.
He still is.
And I would always come back to Richmond because my family has been in Richmond ever since then. So that was dating myself, 69.
Victoria, how about you? What's your background?
Well, Marc and I met in Los Angeles. I had been working at the Disney Channel in film development, movies and series for Disney Channel. I left Disney and was writing and met Marc through the same production company where we both read scripts and screened them for a studio. We met through a personal ad, and then we found out that we both worked at the same company. So, of course, we immediately called people at the company and said, like, what's this? Is he a psycho or whatever he asked.
Long before there was Tinder, there was the LA Weekly personal ads.
Oh, yeah. Style Weekly used to have personal ads like that, too.
Sure. I mean, I think you can still find something like that, probably not in print, but thank God I swiped in the correct direction because, again, I got a life partner and a writing partner all at the same time. We stayed in Los Angeles till 2006. We did really well. We joined the Writers Guild. We had projects. Marc continued to do film reviews. And then we moved to Massachusetts because we had a 5-year-old and we really wanted to give her the suburban, idyllic experience, which it has been because we're in Lexington, Mass, which is a great town.
Well, you hit my first two questions already. First of all, what's your background? Then how did you decide to work together? So let me ask you this, first of all, as writers, and I do want to ask you about some of your stuff in LA too, and we'll get to Outrage naturally. But as writers together, and you've obviously been doing it for many years, first of all, what is your process? Do you sit in the same room across from each other writing together, or does one write it and then hand it to the other?
We work out the story together. We beat out the story. So we create an outline of what we want. Then we break up the scenes. She'll take some scenes and I'll take some scenes. Because I don't know how people actually sit together. When you're writing, you suddenly like, oh, okay, this is really good. But
Right.
somebody suddenly starts saying, no, let me stop you. That didn't work. So anyway,
we did try it. Remember, we
Yeah.
sat at the lab. We sat at the computer and we started to argue about some word like red or rose.
So yeah, we trade off scenes and then we give it
And
to
then we
each
go.
other and then we mesh it so that the voice is consistent.
Marc will do like kind of the final polish because you want it to have a very consistent voice.
Right.
And we don't write exactly the same way.
So then she'll go through afterwards and then she'll go like, well, let me change this, or I think this line's better, and then we'll
Right.
discuss it.
Yeah.
So then that brings up the question I was originally going to ask about that. So what does happen when you just come to an impasse on a plot point or on a character development or a line or something? You arm wrestle or?
No, I don't think it's ever happened.
That's it. We're pretty much the same mind. We lie in bed together and like.
But it's like you can't escape your writing partner when you're married to them.
Well, now that's another question. Do you turn it off at 5 o'clock when it's time to?
Hell no.
Or do you-
No. And one of the things that's really lovely about having a writing partner, especially one that's right next to you, if something occurs to us, you can go, what if?
Yeah, right.
And go from there. Whereas if you're talking with somebody else that's not a writing partner, you have to give them a lot of detail and explain it. And even then they don't really get where you're coming from.
Our conversations are about some pretty far-ranging topics. So those could inform writing. Those might spark an idea for a story. But, we have now a 24-year-old and raising her in this world and seeing how she's perceiving the world and, the changes in technology, changes in filmmaking and media consumption, that tends to also come into the conversation. So sometimes we're just talking about something like, how come people can't have a conversation without it turning into us and them? Then we sort of talk about like, well, what if you had somebody who spews a lot of thoughts into the world and reaches a lot of people and they refuse to take responsibility for something that happens as a result of what they say.
What a clever transition.
Oh, I didn't realize we did. When you said segue, we segued into Outrage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get back to LA then, because I want to hear some of those stories. But well, you kind of just said what the idea came about. How did you kind of lock in on what the story was actually going to be? Why don't you give us a little thumbnail of the plot first?
The honest answer is we had written another screenplay. I also teach. I'm a college professor.
Right.
The premise was you had 5 college students partying very heavily at night. They wake up in the morning and one of their roommates is dead, the victim of an apparent hate crime. So we wrote that script. We were very excited. We started the process of casting actors, etc. And then the reality hit us of how much that film was going to cost.
Yeah.
So then we said, okay, we're going to write a script, 1 room, 1 actor. How much could that possibly cost? Working within that parameter and what Victoria was talking about, that managed to, like, what would happen if someone who is spewing this hate found himself locked in a room and someone said to them on the other side of the wall, you're going to apologize for something you did which ruined my life, or you're not going to get out. And the problem is he's spewed so much hatred and antagonized so many people.
Right.
He has no idea what it is, and this person will not tell him. So he's trying to figure out what it was that he said.
So sometimes, writing is predicated on working with the least tools and the smallest canvas. So you can imagine with a single person locked in a room, it's all resting on that performance and on what is this person's convictions, how have they managed to get through life and reach a certain level of celebrity and influence. So it was really fun to write that character. And then we got extraordinarily lucky, just to jump ahead a little bit. We got an actor he's a Broadway actor.
Tony Award-winning actor.
Yep. His name is Reed Birney.
Yeah, my next question was, so how did you land Reed Birney? But go ahead now that you segued into that one.
Yeah, Reed. Okay, so you know Reed Birney.
Footnote.
Reed Birney is a stage and screen actor best known for films Mass and The Menu, as well as Gossip Girl, House of Cards, and The Blacklist.
We were very fortunate because the director had worked with him. Yeah, he had been an acting teacher as well as an actor on stage. And so she took a course with him. They got to be friendly. And she thought of him and asked him if he'd do it. And
thankfully, he really liked the script.
Yeah.
This was Robin?
Yes, Robin Rose Singer.
Right. That's our director.
Surprise guest drop in.
Hello there, Keith Elliott.
Hi, Jerry. Hello, Mark and Victoria.
Hello.
How did you connect with these two?
Well, I connected with Mark many years ago, maybe in the early 80s at Continental. 82. Oh, good for you. Good exact date. Continental Cable Public Access TV training in Richmond, Virginia with Monique Braxton.
Wow.
Oh, wow. You remember her name. Now, see, that
I do.
I didn't remember. I actually have the episodes, still have those episodes.
Do you? And these were movie review episodes, as I remember. Yeah.
Was that the precursor to the TV station?
Yes, it was sort of like David Letterman had just broken in, and I kept thinking like, oh, how am I going to do this, entertain people? So it was kind of like my aspiration. I'm sure it wasn't anywhere close. What would it be like if David Letterman was hosting a public access version of the Siskel and Ebert?
That's actually a good premise.
How was Keith involved? Was he on air too?
No, just as cameraman.
As was Joan, right?
Joan Wright was camera and maybe help with the mixing. Coincidentally, I believe at the same time, Jerry Williams was doing movie reviews on Channel 6 News as the Man in the Dark.
What do you remember about working with Mark and his reviews?
Choose your words carefully.
Why is he laughing?
Being recorded.
I remember it was fun and spontaneous.
That's cable for you.
One of the things that Keith really was trying to push me to do, I worked with cue cards because I wasn't competent enough to just off the top of my head do these reviews. I would make up all these boards, and I think Joan or someone else had the task of like pulling out those cards while I tried to look like I was not reading all this stuff.
Joan is Keith's wife, by the way, local artist.
Yeah.
Keith, anything else you remember about those days with him or since then?
Well, we've stayed in a little bit of communication since then, but certainly not in person. I don't think I've seen you in person since those days.
No, we met you.
Keith, your baby is probably now
31.
Okay, we
when
met
she
your
was a
baby. We met your baby.
So that means it was
Okay.
around
Miranda.
30 years
Yeah.
ago.
She's a techie, but she also does performance, multimedia singing and stuff. So
Wow.
she's on a little European tour over in London right now. And
Yeah, he just got back and jumped into doing this for me. So
yeah, no, I've moved on more to curating films and actually making them. So,
You're a psychologist now?
Yes, that's right. I use films in my practice all along to help, in groups, things like that. But no, I moved on to be president of the RVA Environmental Film Festival. So I'm kind of into film festival modes now.
yeah. And he's been on the show once or twice promoting that festival too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's wonderful.
Keith, thanks again for subbing in here at the right time. And I'm sure you'll probably be on again.
Yes, I'm sure. And I look forward to seeing your film. Mark and Victoria.
We're coming to Richmond, so
Good, good. I look forward to seeing you in person again
All right. Say hi
after
to
31
Gemma.
years.
All right. Thank you, Keith.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go back to Outrage now. I want to ask you one thing. Not only did you write Outrage, you also were executive producers on the show. Is that right?
that is
right.
correct.
Obviously, that means you had more input than just handing over a script to a director and walking away.
That is correct. We worked with her through the whole writing process and then
Production,
production,
post-production.
casting.
Were you on set?
Yep.
We went on set. Yes.
Yeah, it's in New York. It was shot in New York entirely, the studio there.
So how involved were you on set? At that point, were you still maybe tweaking if there were questions, or at that point you were just observing?
No, we were the money people.
Aha.
Yeah. So, I mean, no, we would make suggestions, but no,
No.
what you don't want to do to the director or the actor is suddenly start throwing out ideas on the set.
Right.
Robin was working with a crew that she'd worked on before on short films and commercials. And it was just really smooth. We walked in, we knew it was a well-oiled machine. I spent a lot of time on sets at Disney, and it's incredibly boring unless you have something to do.
Yeah.
That's kind of, the myth is that it's like, oh, watching magic, and it's not that magical. We just stuck in the background, showed up with treats, and it was a very, very well managed process.
And it had to be because they were shooting on a 2-week schedule.
I was going to ask you, what was it, 2 week, 10 days?
Yeah.
And it was pretty much all Reed.
It's pretty much all. I mean, there's a few other actors.
Yeah.
You do actually end up seeing the woman on the other side of the wall.
But not in the first act, which is what I got to see.
Right.
So let me ask you this, because nowadays, every movie, it seems like it has like 20 executive producers. And I know some of those people are not the money people. Sometimes it's like the star, if they say, hey, if you'll go do some promotion, we'll give you an EP credit. In your case, where you said money people, so it was just not a title. It was you actually the ones who actually helped put the money together.
Right.
You got it.
I mean, Reed Birney is listed as an executive producer as well.
Exactly. Right.
And the reason he's an executive producer, he worked for Scale.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully the movie does well, we get money, and he would get a percentage.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So what is the progress on Outrage at this point?
It's being submitted to a bunch of festivals.
Right.
Including Richmond. We would find out about Richmond about 2 weeks.
This is Richmond International
Yes.
Film Festival? Yeah, okay.
So we would come down and antagonize people in person.
Where are you located, by the way? Are you still in Massachusetts? You're in New York.
We are
Yeah.
in Lexington.
Okay.
We really would love to be able to talk with people at festivals about it,
Yeah.
because we know that there are going to be people who, I don't want to say antagonized by it, because
Sure, of course, right. The subject, right.
Our view is pretty obvious, but we know that it will spark conversation. I had a college professor who used to say, it doesn't matter if somebody loves or hates your work. If they're talking about
Just
it,
get a reaction.
you
Yeah.
succeeded.
The last question I always like to ask is, when you're not working on your own project, what are you watching lately, either streaming or movies? And I want to first ask you, have you seen The Comeback, the new season?
Footnote.
The Comeback is an HBO series starring Lisa Kudrow as an actor trying to rekindle her career.
I loved the first season, and I probably will catch up with it in some sort of I have a cold, so I'm binging in bed.
Well, the reason I wanted to mention it specifically was because the new season, she's on a new sitcom that's written by AI.
Oh, perfect.
And it's very interesting how that whole process works out. So
That is so perfect.
Have to look at that.
She is brilliant.
she's great. Yeah.
We're watching a show called Widow's Bay, which we would like a great deal.
Footnote.
Widow's Bay is a series on Apple starring Matthew Reeves as the mayor of a cursed New England town. We're like 3 or 4 eps in, and I'm like, it's supposed to be funny and scary. I don't think it's funny or scary. We're going to quit. It's not working for us.
It's not that scary. You're right.
There's been
We compared it to Northern Exposure.
Northern Exposure with
Twin Peaks.
Okay, which I never liked.
We saw Obsession, thought it was absolutely spot
I
on.
really liked Obsession.
You did? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So well made.
Footnote.
Obsession, which I didn't love, is a thriller that's grossed more than $150 million. And in a rare milestone, especially for horror films, the ticket sales have actually increased every week.
So inventive, because you think it's going to be one thing and then it completely
Goes a different direction.
It could have gone a very predictable route.
yeah.
So, Mark and Victoria, it's been great to get a chance to finally meet you, and it's great to hear about not only Outrage, but all the fun stuff you have done in the past, and hopefully you'll keep doing some cool stuff in the future.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Take care.
Bye-bye. That was Marc Weinberg and Victoria Fraser, a writing team talking about Outrage, a film they co-wrote and executive produced. It's still in post-production, and I'll keep you posted when it's available to watch. Meanwhile, their experiences in L.A. as writers will take up a whole nother episode in a few weeks.
Coming soon. In theaters.
Masters of the Universe. Nicholas Galitzine assumes the title role as a man who discovers a fabulous secret legacy as the prince of an alien planet and must recover a magic sword and return home to protect his kingdom, based on the Mattel character. Scary Movie. 26 years ago, this satire on thrillers was created by the Wayans brothers. This new one is more of the same, starring Regina Hall, Anna Faris, Sherry O'Terry, and Sean Wayans. Power Ballad. Paul Rudd plays a washed-up wedding singer who bonds with a fading boy band star, Nick Jonas. But when Danny turns Rick's song into a hit, it presents problems. Directed by John Carney, who also wrote the other music films Sing Street and Once. Carolina Caroline. Samara Weaving plays a young woman who joins a charming conman on the run, Kyle Gallner, leaving a trail of crime and passion as they hustle through the Southeast in search of her estranged mother, played by Kara Sedgwick. And two very different films are returning to celebrate their 30th anniversary, Trainspotting and The Birdcage.
TV and streaming.
Cape Fear on Apple. Yet another remake of this classic about an attorney and his family being stalked by a violent psychopath. This time it's a series featuring Amy Adams and Patrick Wilson as the couple and Javier Bardem as the bad guy. Office Romance on Netflix. Jennifer Lopez plays the president and CEO of a company with a strict anti-fraternization policy. When a sexy new lawyer, Brett Goldstein, begins working for her, that policy becomes tested. Groundswell on Prime. Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore are two of the celebs in this show that crosses 5 continents, encountering farmers, scientists, and indigenous leaders who are reshaping humanity's relationship to land. The Marked Woman on Netflix. This Spanish import surrounds an unconscious woman who's found in a Barcelona docks container with no memory and an attempt on her life at the hospital. Not Suitable for Work on Hulu. 5 work-obsessed 20-something professionals living in Manhattan focus on achieving career success and personal happiness. From writer-producer Mindy Kaling. Bring Me the Beauties, The Model Cult on HBO. The strange but true story of Eternal Values, an 80s and 90s New Age community that preyed on supermodels. Interview with the Vampire on AMC has been retitled The Vampire Lestat for its final season. Sunday night, the 79th Annual Tony Awards on Paramount Plus, with Pink hosting. Next week, Sasha Waters returns to the show to talk about her new documentary on acclaimed poet Mary Oliver. This is Jerry Williams. Thanks for listening.
For more Sister, including literally thousands of reviews,
Visit tvjerry.com.
That's a wrap.